freaking first cut. Golly.
Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and this is your round 3 recap for this week's Tour Championship. Joining me to break it all down, Greg DuCharme is here. Hello, Greg.
What's going on, Rick? I imagine you're fairly excited this evening.
I'm tempered. I watched last year as a 6-shot lead was punted away on the final 18 holes of the Tour Championship by a guy who is now playing like Tiger Woods and the number 1 player in the world. So I am tempered, but come on with this guy already.
Yeah, I'm not sure you need to be tempered, Rick. I understand it. You don't want to jinx anything, but I don't think you need to be very tempered, because there's the guy that's the number 1 player in the world, even last year and this year, has a really big hole in his game. And it's a hole that leads to this kind of thing happening, right? It opens the door. And I don't see our beautiful boy having a hole in his game right now. So it's been really impressive.
Well, our beautiful boy has a 6-shot lead heading into the final round of the Tour Championship. 20 under par for Viktor Hovland, 68, 64, 66 on Saturday. That was fairly clinical, Greg. And there was a time in the middle of this round when we were getting a cut to Scottie Scheffler missing a 3-footer, cut to Collin Morikawa missing a 3-footer, cut to Keegan Bradley in the trees, cut to Jon Rahm hitting it, punching out from the rough. And Viktor was middle of fairway, middle of green, roll the putts in. It was like he was playing a different golf course.
It really was. I mean, this is a really hard golf course today. If you hit it in that rough, it becomes a real challenge. And there are actually trees at East Lake, which is nice. It penalizes wayward misses. And I think some of those elements, and the greens are so fast, some of those elements, they really reward and separate the players who are playing the best. And it's very clear right now that Viktor Hovland is that guy. And his ability to put the ball in the fairway, his ability to control his distances into greens, his short game ability, which is really nice. And the putting is good. And he left putts out there today.
Yeah.
He missed, what do you have, 3 putts inside 11 feet on the last 3 holes?
16, he had 11 feet 4 inches for birdie, missed it. 17, he had 8 feet 5 inches for birdie, missed it. 18, he had 7 feet for birdie, missed it. This could be a 9-shot lead.
Yeah, and so it could very easily be a 63 with a bogey. And there was a couple on the front 9 too. He missed another 8-footer on the front 9. There were opportunities out there for him to go even lower, and that, you're not going to make all of those. So this is a great round, obviously. But the thing that has really separated him is the ability and the control that he has off the tee. Mm-hmm. Seems like a lot of guys today had kind of double crosses going on. Rahm and Bradley and Morikawa and even Scottie, right? Yeah. I mean, they're hitting some foul balls, and Viktor didn't hit any foul balls. So it's been tee to green, just a wonderful performance, and he deserves to be in this position. It's very well earned. It's a great play.
We got the dreaded pop-up thunderstorm in the middle of the day. The Georgia summer pop-up storm that gives us a 90-minute delay as Viktor's pretty much rolling. And I'm terrified, Greg, because Morikawa the wheels are off Collin, and Viktor is steady Eddie. And I've seen what happens in these rain delays where just things completely shift. But I was impressed that, one, Viktor was on his own schedule, right? They gave him, hey, we're going to go out at whatever it ended up being, 3:45 or 6:45 Eastern.
Yeah, 6:45.
Whatever that, 6:45 Eastern. He was the last one out to the range, took his time, got out there and birdied the first 2 holes after after the play resumed.
And the first driving iron that he hit right out of the gate was just laser straight. So you got the sense right away that nothing changed. Okay, this guy's he wasn't rattled by it. And that's part of the thing that I feel really confident about heading into tomorrow. This isn't just, a guy that was hot and a little delay is going to throw it off. I don't think a night's sleep is going to throw this off. He's in full and complete control of his golf ball. And, it's not like he's doing anything new. It's just, it's all working. It's all clicking. And I think he has the tools to put together a low enough score to win tomorrow, even if it's not clicking like it has been over the first 3 days. If it's just a little bit off, I think he's strong enough in every area to get the job done tomorrow.
6-shot lead over Xander Schauffele, 7-shot lead over Keegan Bradley and Collin Morikawa, 18 holes away from $18 million. I will also point out that at this point, Viktor Hovland caught Collin Morikawa in the raw strokes gained category. So both of those guys are 8.3 strokes better than the field. Xander is 1 shot behind. Keegan is 2 back. So with or without strokes, Viktor is either tied for the lead or way out in front.
Which, I was thinking about that. There was a point where he passed Collin today, I believe.
That is correct. And then Collin did Collin make a birdie? Yeah, he made a birdie on 16 and kind of got it back.
Right. He actually, the rain delay helped Collin. He started in much better shots after the rain delay. But I was thinking about this as I'm watching, what is the effect of the leaderboard? And if Collin had a 6-shot lead and all of a sudden it's gone, is that a different attitude than, well, I was tied and now I'm falling behind? Does it change the attitude? Because, I wonder what the tension difference would be. And I'm not sure what the answer to that is, but it seemed like Collin was still in good spirits. And I wonder if this was a lead, a massive lead that was crumbling, would that have changed things? So it was just a curious thought I had.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about Collin Morikawa now. So it was a 3 over 73. So he has shot 61, 64, 73 this week. He made a double on 5, a bogey on 10 and 11. He did not make his first birdie until 16 and became his only birdie of the day. That's a 7-shot difference between he and his playing partner, Viktor Hovland. And I think you're right, Greg. This was going way far south. He was able to reset in that 90 minutes and took a lot better passes at the golf ball.
You saw it, it was a pretty decent start for him. The first 4 holes were fine. And then you see the double cross come out for the first time at number 5. And then he, has that shot over the bunker and leaves it in the bunker, makes double.
You know what that reminds me of? He sometimes he gets these really, so he lost like 2.5 strokes around the green, which is what he did at the Hero, right? Wasn't the Hero when he was going to become the #1 player in the world? He blew like a 5 or 6 shot lead. I think Sam Burns, or I don't know, somebody caught him. Maybe Viktor caught him. And it was just like, all these little grainy, chippy shots, he could not execute them.
Well, and Kapalua was
maybe that's what maybe
Kapalua, the grainy shots really got him.
Yeah.
And that's when everybody was talking about his technique and the bowed wrist and all that stuff. So it was a different shot, and I think that this one had more to do with the situation than a skill set. Just situational awareness. He took on way too much risk there. Out of a lie like that, you have to accept a par. You have to give yourself a par putt, because if you come up short, you're still short-sided and you're toast. All short-sided shots aren't created the same, but that's one of those situations where there's no way from the upslope in the bunker, from the rough on, you're not going to get it close. So you have to land that ball on the green. You have to err on the side of hitting it over. So the worst you can make is 5. So, but the tee shot was really the tee shot was the first kind of chink in the armor that we've seen all week. And then I think we saw a bad decision that led to a double. And then we saw the tee shot at 10 was the same thing, right? It's another double cross. And then he wipes one on 11. And now it's like, okay, the swing is falling apart. Then, fortunately, there's a tiny dot on the radar that happens to be right over.
Yeah. This little tiny green dot on the radar that is literally right over the golf course and nowhere else.
Whenever I see a radar like that, there's these little spots. It's like, well, that's actually a place. Most of the time it's not raining anywhere where you are, but you check it out. Maybe you're playing golf, you check it out, there's like a little, well, that's somewhere in the world where it actually is raining. And what is the likelihood that it's right over East Lake? That was just and it didn't even rain.
No, it didn't. There was a little electricity in the air, and it got dark and cloudy, but no, it didn't actually dump any water, did it?
Right. So, you come back out and the temperature had changed a little bit. It got a little cooler. The wind, which seemed pretty light. I mean, I know Sepp Straka mentioned that it was windy. It seemed pretty light to me on TV from my ivory tower.
I was going to say, he's on the golf course. You're watching on TV. I'll take your word for it, Greg.
So I guess it was windy. And then all of a sudden it wasn't. But you didn't get the benefit we usually get of coming back from a delay and it's really receptive.
Right.
And the greens were a lot firmer today. Right. And that's, I think, a big reason why the golf course played a lot harder.
Yeah, pretty significantly the most difficult scoring average of the week thus far. We'll see what it checks in at on Sunday. So we talked about that final group. Viktor in at 20 under, Collin in at 13. Collin is in a tie with someone that I do want to talk about, but we're going to go to the man in second. Solo second, Xander Schauffele, 14 under par for the championship, 67, 64, 68. This was a 2-pencil day for Xander, who made 3 birdies and a bogey on his outward 9, 2 birdies, 2 bogeys on his second 9. The par or better streak around East Lake continues. His great strokes gain numbers around East Lake continue. And he is technically, though it is 6 shots, the closest to chasing down Viktor Hovland.
If your expectations and hope with Viktor Hovland is tempered, this man is the reason why. Because I'm not sure there's anybody.
This is worst case scenario.
Right. If you're going to have a 6-shot lead.
The only thing that would be worse is if Rory and Xander were tied at 14 under.
Right. I mean, this guy is to be feared because I think what did they said it on the broadcast today that 4 of his wins are from trailing.
Yeah. Remember when he boat raced Gary Woodland with like a 61 or 62, and Gary was like, "Oh, I'm just going to shoot a 65 and win this tournament," and nope, they're handing it to Xander.
Gary shot 5 under. It was at Kapalua. That was he had a 5-shot lead and shot 5 under, and lost.
That's stupid. And it didn't even go to a playoff, right? He lost. It was in regulation.
Yeah, because Xander shot 61 on a par 73.
God.
So he has that kind of capability, and today's round, you saw the upside with all the birdies, and you saw a couple of missed opportunities. Xander definitely left some out there, but also hit some incredible shots. Did he get up and down from the bunker at 17?
Yeah, he did.
That bunker shot should have gone in. I mean, it rolled right over the lip. It was so tasty. He hit another one on. It was before that. I want to say it was on 14. Yeah, he came up short right in the fairway, had a tight lie, and not a ton of green to work with, and flew it onto the green. And I think Mark Immelman said, "Whoa." Because it landed and just it landed like a beanbag. It was awesome. So he's fun to watch. I love when Xander's in the mix because I love watching this guy swing the golf club. A couple of mistakes today, no question about it. But all in all, considering that everybody was making mistakes today, this was a really good round from Xander, and he's not the guy I want in the rearview mirror here at East Lake.
No, me neither. But we shall see. Okay, we are going to talk about a couple of notables, and we're going to talk about maybe, hopefully, the most interesting storyline on Sunday. But first, we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners.
Fight for something. First play of the game to the last play of the game. 1, 2, 3.
And we've got two of the hottest conferences. This is big-time college ball.
They're going to come. We're going to come.
Two big boys getting ready to play.
Big, the operative word here.
And here they come.
And we're back. My hope is that Sunday is a very, very boring day with nothing of real consequence happening other than a 2-under round from Viktor Hovland, which never puts him in any risk of losing this golf tournament. But I think what I'll be very focused on is Keegan Bradley, who is in a tie for third, 13 under, Greg, 70 on Saturday. Now, there's a couple of things at play here. First off, the payouts are ridiculous. So Victor at I already gave it to him. First place is 18 million. Second is 6.5. Third is 5 million. Fourth is 4. Fifth is 3. So there's like $1 million or $1.5 million for every position you jump in that top 5. That's part one. Part two is Keegan Bradley has been applying a full court press on Zach Johnson to try to get himself onto this Ryder Cup team via soundbite, via great play, and any other means that he could get himself into. Would a solo second be enough for Keegan Bradley to get on this Ryder Cup team?
Well, I have been kind of waiting for somebody to take one of these spots.
Yes.
And I can imagine that that Zach Johnson has too. Now, next week's going to be fascinating, right? Because it seems like the Lucas Glover thing is kind of worn off, regardless of my opinions. It seems like it's worn off. I think Lucas Glover was a guy that stepped up and took one of those spots. Maybe he was just too far back to begin. But the Sam Burns and the Cam Youngs and obviously Justin Thomas and
we were saying if Denny McCarthy has a great playoff run, he could get in.
Right, because it just takes somebody to say, you can't leave me off.
Right.
And right now, there's a lot of guys that a lot of different people think should be on this team, and not really any of them have said, you have to take me. Collin Morikawa at this point has probably said, you have to take me.
Okay, but Keegan Bradley is one spot behind him in the points.
Yeah.
A mere 40 grand behind, might be 400 grand in those points, 400 grand behind, and might have a better playoff run in him.
I think that it really put a good performance tomorrow, I think, puts Keegan on this team. Now, you will find this interesting. Earlier this week, on A New Breed of Golf, we had Todd Lewis on. And Todd Lewis from Golf Channel is a reporter. He's not sharing opinion. He's talking about what the players are saying. And he's been talking to a lot of players about the guy at the very bottom of the screen, Justin Thomas. And he's no longer at the very bottom. But the general consensus, according to Todd Lewis, is that the players think Justin Thomas should be on the team. Now, that throws another really big wrench into this. So JT doesn't have the opportunity to take a spot from anybody. But if all the players are saying that he should be on the team, he takes a spot from somebody. So Keegan's performance, I think, is really important. It's hard to leave Ricky off because he's a fan favorite and he's had a great year, but has he demanded the spot. I don't know. I think Keegan has an opportunity tomorrow to demand a spot on this team.
So two things here. I personally believe Justin Thomas will be on the team. I believe he will be.
I do too.
I also believe that if Justin Thomas is on this team, it is criminal, and I'll be flying the European flag. What a fraudulent Ryder Cup spot this would be, with all of these other great guys who, one, made the playoffs, and two, have had decent runs in the playoffs, had by far better seasons. And then the captain, at some point, the captain has to be the captain and say, sorry, guys, I know you want your friend here, but I'm in charge. This isn't a democracy. I'm the leader. Okay. Like, what are we doing here?
Well, it's a really good point, because just because the players say that doesn't mean that that's what Zach Johnson thinks as well. I mean, Zach Johnson said, look, this is up in the air. Apparently that's what he told JT. And I'm going to have to make a decision at some point. Now, if everybody just kind of doesn't do anything and doesn't take the spot, then I understand putting JT on the team. Like, hey, Cam Young, you didn't demand it. Sam Burns, you didn't demand it. You had the opportunity. Ricky, I mean, I know that 4th of July weekend or right around there, you won, but it's been kind of lackluster since. You didn't demand the spot. So if everybody's in this kind of stagnant position, I can see you putting JT on the team. But if you have Keegan Bradley sitting there, Collin Morikawa with his performance last week, again, I think he's on the team anyway. Yeah. But you have Keegan Bradley coming in here, finishing inside the top 5 in the Tour Championship, despite a staggered start, where he's at what, 10 under? He's 2 back of Hovland and Morikawa in raw scoring. But he shot 7 under, 3 under, even. So 10
under.
You know, he's right there in the mix. And
yeah, he's 2 shots worse than Viktor Hovland is.
Right.
And Viktor Hovland has boat raced this thing. And that's tied with Collin. Like, come.
So I think he could really demand a spot tomorrow. And I think that's important, because not a lot of guys have.
I cannot believe how I've come full. I used to think Keegan was just like, and I also like Keegan and Zach Johnson are the 2 most like neurotic golfers on the planet, and like they can't stop moving, and they're like scared of everything and all this stuff. And I have come so far on Keegan that I am like standing for him to be on this team, and he deserves it. And he would be such a good locker room guy, and he'd be your fire guy. And I would love to be paired with him. Give me some Keegan.
Oh, he's great. I think with his interviews and some of the things he said, he's changed a lot off the golf course as he's gotten older.
He's
and
mellowed out a little bit.
He's definitely mellowed out a little bit. But watching him compete, he hasn't. Like the competitive fire is still there. I always liked watching it. So I can't say I've come full circle. I appreciate what the changes we've seen off the course. But when Keegan's in the mix, the intensity is the pressure is high. There's some guys that take a long time to decide, but it doesn't raise the tension level.
Yes.
But guys like Keegan and Jordan, right? It like you feel like you don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
So tension rises, and I find it very entertaining. So I'm a big Keegan guy.
Yeah, Keegan is flying up my power rankings of like guys to watch and guys to root for. Okay. Maybe the most surprising round of the day was Scottie Scheffler's 73. It was statistically his worst round of the season. He lost like 3.5 strokes to the field. He did not make a birdie until his final hole of the day, the 18th. He had 4 bogeys on the card. It was kind of weird, Greg. So the putting stats are not going to be that bad. He actually only lost a little bit with the putter, but that's because he made like 3 12-footers for par.
One for bogey.
Yeah, late in his round. None of them were for birdie, and he missed a couple of shorties. Other than that, he lost 2.5 strokes on approach, second worst in the field. And you mentioned it. He started to get that double cross case of the lefts where he was just routinely out of position at East Lake, and this golf course was punishing him.
It for the first time today, I felt like this was the frustration from the putting creeping in. Now, from a technical point of view, when you have lefts like that creeping in, you have this kind of heat. It's the last event of the season, a season where he's spent a tremendous amount of time in contention, and you throw a little frustration into the mix. And I could very easily go to fatigue over frustration, because that's what happens when your body gets a little tired and you're a fader. In order to hit a fade, you got to be very active with the body. And this is what we saw with Rory, especially in round one, where all of a sudden he started to miss left because his lower body isn't engaged and you can't fend off the closing club face. So I could see that happening with Scottie, because these were un-Scottie-like shots. But the look on his face said frustration. So I don't really know which came first. But my guess is this is just a little bit of a fatigue factor, an uncharacteristic day. He hit 9 greens of regulation. I mean, he had a chance this week, according to Justin Ray, if he hit 62 greens, which is like a Corey Connors kind of number.
Yeah, exactly.
He would have bet over 75% of greens of regulation for the year.
Which is like Tiger 2000 stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Incredible. It's still incredible. But so you see 9 greens of regulation for Scottie, and that's a uncharacteristically bad day approaching the greens. So it's somewhere, it's fatigue and it's frustration, and they're probably related, but I don't think it's a long-term issue.
My napkin math says that Scottie Scheffler is 1 out of 30 golfers in this field. So he represents 3% of this field. He represents 33% of the water balls on 15, 2 of 6 by my quick math. That's not good.
No. So round 1, he hits it left.
Mm-hmm.
Round 2, they move the tee.
Easy shot. In
Totally
round 2.
different shot.
Yeah.
Round 3 comes back and misses short right.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if the shot in round 1, like you consider the lefts that are happening throughout the day, and you consider where the right way to play that shot is kind of flirt with the left edge of the green and use the slope to feed it to the middle of the green. That way, if you miss it a little right, you got a lot of green to work with. You have that little sideboard help. But my guess is he was a little afraid to aim up the left-hand side, which he typically wouldn't be. But he's hitting some lefts that day. So all of a sudden he takes it on a little bit of a different line and does miss right, and it's in the water. I mean, that ball didn't land far away from where Viktor Hovland's ball landed on 15.
Oh my! Victor was right of the pit. Oh, was he the only ball right of the? Let me look. Is this the only ball
that was dry?
No, there were 4, and everybody made the putts. Siwoo, Victor, Fleetwood almost knocked it in.
Yeah.
And
yeah, was that on the right side? It was inches away.
The radar, technically, the radar says yes, right? Because it lands, like 12. It looks like it's on the right side, 11 inches. It's more like right past it.
Yeah,
Keegan was right and past, and then Siwoo and Victor were both in a kind of similar spot.
What a shot Keegan hit in there too.
Oh my god!
It reminded me of Sung J M at the Honda. Yeah, on 15.
15.
Is that the one where the right hole location?
Mackenzie Hughes gave him like one of these, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
pretty good. All right, Scottie's 9 shots back, 11 under, 20 under is the lead. Josh, let's see him. Let's see the betting odds. I know they're probably outrageous. Yep, Viktor Hovland minus 1,200. So if you think Victor's going to win and you want to win $100, you must lay 1,200 in that proposition. Xander Schauffele, the man closest behind, the man who loves to track you down, the man who loves Eastlake, 11-1. Collin Morikawa, 7 shots off the lead, 28. Then you get Keegan at 45, Scottie at 70, Rahm at 90. Only those are the only golfers shorter than 175-1.
Well, Wyndham Clark, John Rahm, and Scottie Scheffler are 9 back. So that's out.
Yes.
If you wanted to, and you're not betting Victor.
No.
Hopefully you did already.
Yeah.
If something happens, now the question is who's the best opportunity, who's the most likely to be there? And I got to say it's Xander.
Yeah. So if you are betting anything right now, which you probably shouldn't, you are essentially asking Victor to come back to you in some form or fashion.
Yeah. I mean, if this golf course plays like it did today, 66 is a great round.
If Victor shoots even par, it's probably over.
Right. I mean, it's not like Kapalua where you can go make a bunch of birdies. This is, I don't know. There's not I don't see it.
So if Victor shot a 73 tomorrow and gets in at 17, now Xander would have to shoot 3 under, Keegan would have to shoot 4. Listen, if you want to just like throw a dart on Keegan Bradley to get into a playoff and steal this thing, cool. 45-1 with 18 holes to go. But I would not bet anything here.
It'd be like purely it's not financially wise.
It's just for just for kicks, just for like hey, in case something crazy starts happening at a golf tournament, let me have a 45-1 ticket hanging around.
Yeah, I just think this is set up perfectly for Victor.
I agree. He and Shea Knight are very routine oriented. They're going to stick to their plan. They're not going to let anything kind of disrupt the flow, and probably going to rock and roll.
Yeah, I don't think there's any shots in his game that make you go, ooh, that are going to, jar him emotionally.
Right.
Like a missed short putt, like you might see with a Scottie Scheffler, or, maybe in years past, it would be a tight lie chip shot.
Mm-hmm.
Usually these meltdowns, if they're meltdowns and not I'm not included the Gary Woodland situation here, right? But if you see a meltdown where somebody loses it, it's usually because of one specific area. Short misses on the greens, tight, grainy lies, like things that we've talked about today, a double cross off the tee that comes up at the wrong moments. I don't see one of those areas being a potential for Victor right now.
He had 2 tests today and he passed them both. Birdied his first 2 holes out of the break, which could have gone in any direction. And then after he hit the worst shot of the day, which is his second on 14 left of the bunker, he makes bogey there. He bounces back with a birdie on the par 5, 15th. So to me, those were the 2 tests. He passed them both with flying colors.
Yeah, and 14, he played exactly the right way. He got out of position off the tee. It was a rare bad tee shot, and he didn't make the mistake of leaving it in the bunker. Right, he does the best he can, and I don't think he could have done any better than what he did. So he takes a square and walks away, and I have no problem with that.
Anything else that we did not discuss on this Saturday that we should discuss?
We covered quite a bit, Rick.
We did.
I think we hit the big stories.
Yeah. Well, we will do it one more time for this season on Sunday night, and then we'll just roll on with some other stuff. And then the next season is going to start right before you know it. We'll be back in Napa sipping wine at Silverado. For now, big thanks to producer Josh, as all the hard work behind the scenes. Greg DuCharme, available on Twitter at The Real GFD, and you can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut. We'll catch you next time.